Hey, welcome to News You Can Use. I'm your host, BG. Let's be honest, this week has been a heavy one, with all the murder trials, including that of Ahmaud Arbery. Fortunately, though, his killers have been found guilty, but it's also a triggering time for many people, black men in particular. It's why I want to tell you about a special concert that celebrates black men speaking their truth. Now, before I give you any more information, and I promise you I will, I do need you to do a few things like subscribing to this channel, tapping that notification bell, and make sure to follow us on all of our social media. Those details in the description below. So, the name of the event, it's actually called When Brothers Speak, and they use poetry to do just that, speak. Well, today we have the concert's organizer, Dwayne, and one of the performers, Ontario's first Poet Laureate Randell, here to share why this event is so important and why you should watch. Let's bring them in. Hey Dwayne, thanks so much for joining us here on News You Can Use.
Hey, it's my pleasure, thank you.
All right, so let's talk about it. When Brothers Speak.
Yes.
For those people who may never have heard about it, what is it?
So When Brothers Speak is a spoken word concert. It's all black men on stage who are all poets, and they all have 20 minutes uncensored to speak about whatever's on their minds, whatever their life experiences have been. And it's really just an opportunity to actually just listen to black men talk about, their experiences and how they see and experience the world.
Why poetry?
Well, for me, it's self-serving because I'm a poet, so I wanted to create a platform that, made sense with my reality. But, I also think that there's so much around the mastery of words, around using words to communicate, ideas and emotions. And I think we live in a society today, as we get more into technology and stuff, and there's, abbreviations and all of these kinds of things, we kind of lose that love of language. And I think when you can get into a room or you can watch people really play around with language and how we use words, it's such a beautiful lost art.
Wow. How many years have you been doing this, by the way?
This year makes 22 years that I've been doing When Brothers Speak specifically, but I've been producing poetry events for the last 28 years.
Wow. So talk to me, what have been the effects that have come out? Typically, pre-COVID, you guys would gather in one room,
Yes.
and basically each poet would get up there on the stage and they would recite what they want to talk about. What has come out of that? Has lives been changed?
Oftentimes we hear from people who come out to the show and they're like, you know what? I feel seen.
Yeah.
I just sat there and just was nodding my head like somebody was speaking my life experience and even things that I was holding on to and I didn't even know I was holding on to. Somebody was speaking about it and I was like, yo, that's real. That's I've lived that. And I think, the beauty of the show is being able to put a voice to some of the things that we might be holding on to that we don't necessarily know how to, articulate. So I think, when the poets get up on stage, they're really not just speaking for them, but they're also giving voice to a lot of people in the community who might not have the same, means or audience to get these stories out. And I think, since COVID came, we've had to move the show to a virtual thing. And, so a lot of people in Toronto have been used to packing this theater of 500 people and watching the show. But the beauty of this moment is that even if you're outside of Toronto now, you can watch the show.
Yeah.
So,
you're going international.
Yeah, so as long as you have an internet connection, you could be a part of what's going on, you know what I mean? So I think, you always have to look at the beauty and the opportunity in the moment, right? So it's like, it sucks, we're not in the theater, but you know what? Now people in BC, Alberta, Florida can watch the show and be a part of it. And I think that's really the blessing of this moment.
Can we talk about the name When Brothers Speak? Why did you choose that name in particular?
Well, I think there is, something familial, in the black community. I've had the opportunity to travel and go to different places. And, when I've been in places like, Budapest and stuff, you cross another black person, you instantly do the head nod. You've never even seen this person before, but there's this brotherhood.
There really is.
Right? So,
there really is.
You know what I mean? It's like, and sometimes we're looking at each other like, I don't know what you're doing here, and you don't know what I'm doing here, but we're here.
I see you. You see me, I see you.
Right? So there's that moment, right? And I think so there's that familial kind of thing. So I wanted to, when brothers speak, because, am I my brother's keeper? Do we check for each other and that sort of thing? And, there's so many negative things that we hear in the in society about, how black men deal with each other. So I really wanted to have something that spoke to loving and family and connection, and us really being there for each other. And that's really where When Brothers Speak came from.
This year, you actually have a very special poet who's going to be taking the stage. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I've had the pleasure of, mentoring him, and he's the first Poet Laureate of Ontario. And him and I have done a lot of great things over the years. We're actually doing some curating for Artworks TO right now in Scarborough. And his name is Randal Jay. And if people are unfamiliar with him, they will get very familiar with him on Saturday.
Randal, welcome to News You Can Use, my guy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Listen, we've been reporting on your success. Huge congratulations, becoming Ontario's first Poet Laureate.
Thank you, man.
That's a massive accomplishment.
It feels good. I think it feels good because someone that looks like me, with the background that I have, the stories that I have, I really want the next Randell, the next Dwayne, the next Brandon, just to be able to see themselves in that light, to say that I can do it, because there wasn't many people that I had. So, it's a great opportunity. I love the work I've been able to do quietly and publicly, but I'm grateful.
What comes with that position?
Essentially, what we're looking at is advocating for arts and poetry across the province.
Okay.
It gives me my own office at the Assembly. So what's great is you get to work with different ministers in different sectors. And for me, I see poetry as a vehicle, to really be able to tap into different sectors, different ways to use poetry to inspire, to educate. Because I think a lot of us are introduced to poetry through Shakespeare, but this is self-expression, almost in my opinion, at its highest form. The first art form was storytelling. So it's a great thing, and I think what I'm most excited about is the different ways I can inspire with poetry.
That really hit me when you talked about it, because it's so true. We are really introduced, to poetry with Shakespeare, and I don't know about anybody else, but I don't really connect with Shakespeare. Illyria wasn't my town. You know what I'm saying? It was not my place. So I respect your artistry because I can relate to that.
I am coated in melanated skin. No one's opinion of me has to become my reality. It pains me to think the perceptions of this skin have turned into unjustifiable casualties.
And I think there are so many young people who want to relate to that. Or, Dwayne was talking about that image and connecting and finding, that space where you can truly relate to an experience.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about your performance and what is the message you're gonna try to get across to people?
So my performance that I have for When Brothers Speak, and I think it's really awesome because you get a nice 20 minutes to work within your set. So there's a new poem that I did called Flowers, working with my brother Mark Stoddard. And Mark Stoddard and I have just been working together for the last 6 months. The project is really about how do we give flowers to those while they're still alive. So that's one of the poems that I introduced during my set. And a lot of the set is really about how we are able to turn a rocky moment into golden opportunities. I'm an alchemist. I really think that no matter what you go through in life, there's always a seed of opportunity. So my set is really about how do we transform some of that hardship, those challenges, into an opportunity.
Wow. It's gonna be obviously virtual because of the pandemic. As an artist who performs on stage, I feel like there's a missing element when you don't have the people in the room.
Huge. I mean, I think we're always performing. I think every time you leave your house, you're performing, whether it's your sex, your gender, your beliefs, your faith. But when you're on stage as a performer, something really beautiful is, for me, I think vulnerability is a real test and a real sign of courage and strength. I think the world sees vulnerability as a sign of weakness, but on stage, you can be yourself, you can be authentic, and people love you when you're authentic. That's how we really tap into I get it, I'm with you, So the finger snaps won't be the same, but I think at the end of the day, people still get the message, and that's what's beautiful about When Brothers Speak, the message. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Saturday.
You talked about the finger snaps, and this might be a stupid question, but when you really hit your message, do you feel a different type of finger snap? You know what I mean?
I'm sure Dwayne knows, because there's moments when you hit your punchline and people are just snapping.
Yeah.
They're snapping so long that you have to wait until you get to the next line. And it's really gratifying, because sometimes those lines that you write takes days, hours. People don't understand, like, it takes time, because it's about how do you take the English language and take dialect and take different experiences and weave it in together to tell a story, but something that people can always also really connect to. So I miss that element, you know, I really miss that element. But you know, it is what it is at the end of the day, right?
What's something for people watching? I feel like this week in particular has been very heavy. I can only speak from personal experience as a black man. Watching what happened down in the States with Ahmaud Arbery. Obviously, the verdict, what we all wanted to see, but still not the outcome, because he should still be alive. Is that something you feel like you're going to touch on in your performance, or do you think there's something there that you're working on?
So there's a poem that I shared specifically that speaks to just living in this skin. In the Western world. And it talks about, like, none of us chose this skin, you know? I think for me, race.
Well, we happy to be in it.
Just
want to clarify that.
Love, like, I love this, you know what I mean? Every day I wake up, I wouldn't choose to be anything else, and even in another lifetime. But we didn't choose this skin, and we're being treated as if we did, or we're being treated as if it's wrong to have this skin, you know? So I do touch on it. There's a poem that I speak on specifically about that. But what I love is, you know, working with Dwayne over the past, like, 9-10 years that I've known Dwayne now, is he's not afraid to speak about it. He's not afraid to create a stage to say, let's talk about it. You know, be yourself, be your authentic self. And that's why I love when brothers speak, because it gives you that platform, and it's really unapologetic too. Like, you're almost encouraged to talk about that, because we don't really get other spaces to do so, you know? So, you know, I applaud Dwayne for 22 years of doing this. It's not easy, you know, to keep going. So the sad thing about it is 22 years ago, this was still a part of the conversation. And I think something's got to give, something's got to change. It was heavy for me this week too, but my poetry is how I'm able to share and connect with other folks to say, like, I see you, I feel you, we're here together.
Randell, I want to bring you on the BG show. I want to have a sit-down one-on-one with you, because I feel like there's so much we can get into. So promise me you're going to book some time in for us?
I'll make it work.
All right. Thanks so much, my guy.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the love, man.
You want to know what I want you to tell everybody is how they can get tickets. How can they watch? Where can they find out?
Okay, definitely. You could just go to my website, dwaynemorgan.ca, and just go to the event section, and there's a link there to buy tickets. If you follow me on Instagram or any social media, there are links there in the bio. Just hit the link and get your ticket. And 8 o'clock on Saturday, bam, the show's happening.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dwayne.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.
Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel, and listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.